Have you ever felt truly alone, not because you were physically by yourself, but because the people you trusted just faded away, leaving you in a quiet that felt too loud? Have you ever reached a point where the world seemed to turn its back, and your heart felt heavy with questions that had no answers? Sometimes, life strips everything away from us, not as a punishment, but as a chance to finally meet the person we were always meant to become. Before we begin, I invite you to take a slow, deep breath, and let this story be a guide for your heart. Once, in a peaceful village nestled beside a silver river, lived a young man named Arav. He was known for his gentle nature and the steady care he put into his work. Arav lived with his father, a simple carpenter, in a small clay house near a grand old banyan tree. From his father, Arav learned 3 vital lessons: how to shape wood with respect, how to wait with patience, and how to honor the passage of time. But one winter, his father's health began to fail. Like a lamp slowly running out of oil, his life's flame began to dim within a matter of days. Arav was alone. After the funeral, his relatives gathered, but not to offer comfort or warmth. Instead, they spoke of land, of tools, of ownership. "You are young," one of them said, his voice void of sympathy. "You will manage with less." By the time the sun set that day, Arav had lost his home, his father's workshop, and even the old watch his father had always worn. All he was left with was a broken-down cottage by the river and a single, cracked pot someone had left behind. The silence that followed was heavier than grief itself. Arav tried to rejoin village life, seeking out old friends in the hope of finding a shred of kindness. But when they saw his empty hands and his humble clothes, their once warm smiles slowly vanished. Some turned away, avoiding his gaze. Others offered polite, distant words, but no one invited him in. One evening, Arav stood at the edge of the village square, a silent shadow watching families laugh together under the warm glow of lanterns. That night, he sat alone in his derelict cottage, the cracked pot in his hands. He filled it with water, but it leaked steadily onto the dirt floor. His tears mixed with the water, creating a small puddle of sorrow. "I have no one," he whispered into the darkness. "I have nothing." The next morning, hollow and exhausted, Arav walked along the river bank. There, beneath an old fig tree, sat an elderly farmer named Mohan, silently watching the water flow. After a long moment, Mohan spoke, his voice gentle. "When a cup is empty," he said, "it feels useless. But only an empty cup can be filled again." Arav remained silent. Mohan then pointed to the cracked pot Arav had brought with him. "It leaks," he observed softly, "and yet." "Look closely." Arav looked down. Where the water had been dripping, tiny, vibrant flowers were beginning to sprout from the earth. "Even broken things," Mohan said with a quiet wisdom, "can still help life grow." Those words resonated deep within Arav's heart. From that day forward, Arav stopped waiting to be rescued. He gathered clay from the river and began sealing the cracks in his cottage walls. He mended the roof slowly, one piece at a time. He planted seeds near the river and watered them with care every single morning. There were days his hands bled from the labor, and nights he was so tired he wanted to quit. But with each sunrise, he would whisper to himself, "I still have time. I still have breath. I still have light." Weeks turned into months. One afternoon, a traveler's cart broke down near Arav's cottage. Desperate, the traveler asked for help. Arav didn't have fine tools, only his patience and his steady hands. He worked quietly, methodically, until the wheel was fixed and turned smoothly again. The traveler was so impressed that he spoke of Arav's skill and integrity in every town he visited. Slowly, people started coming to Arav. A farmer needed a fence repaired. A widow needed a new door. A child asked for a simple wooden cup. Arav worked honestly, never rushing, never raising his voice. His small garden bloomed with life. The cracked pot was eventually replaced with a new one. And one day, the old, broken watch his father had left him began to tick once more. Years later, The same relatives who had taken everything from him returned. They saw his peaceful home, his thriving garden, and the quiet confidence in his eyes. They spoke with regret, their words hollow. But our Av felt no anger, no bitterness. "I lost everything," he told them calmly. But in that silence, I found myself, that evening, as our Av sat by the river watching the sunlight dance on the water. He was no longer afraid of being alone. He had learned one of life's most profound lessons. When the world walks away from you, it teaches you how to stand on your own. When everything is taken from you, what remains is your truest, purest strength. Silence builds what noise cannot, and patience has the power to turn loss into purpose. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to our channel for more inspiration. May wisdom guide your steps.